This is part one of a multi-part series of videos on the multitude of health issues associated with eating seeds and foods made from seeds, which is just about everything. This video series would have been more accurately titled, Everything You Eat is Seeds, but nuts just works better. In this video, I'm going to clarify what nuts, grains, legumes, and seeds are. Then I'll provide examples of how just about every processed food there is made from seeds. You might be surprised at how easy it is to go an entire day eating nothing but seeds. In other videos in this series, I provide specific examples of toxins in seeds and discuss why I don't think they're good for you, and why making them a staple of your diet is a recipe for poor health. A little bit about me. I've been eating a carnivore diet since I first watched Dr. Shawn Baker talk about it on the Joe Rogan Experience, episode 1050, in December of 2017. So that's about 7 years now. During this time, I've eaten between 90 to 100% animal products every day, mostly meat and eggs. These days I'm not super strict with my diet. I'd say 95% of my calories come from meat and eggs and a little bit of fish and cheese, and I'm eating a bit of high-fat yogurt these days as well. The remaining 5% comes from a bit of fruit and the odd bit of chocolate, etc. I have a PhD in biomedical sciences from the University of Guelph in Canada, and I did a 4-year postdoc as a visiting scientist at the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences. This is a branch of the NIH in the United States in Durham, North Carolina. I'm almost 53 years old. I'll just start off by defining a few terms that seem self-evident, but it's helpful to clarify and classify things. The first term I'll mention is seeds. A seed is a plant embryo plus the food reserves, enclosed in a protective outer covering called a seed coat. Some random examples of seeds include sesame seeds, poppy seeds, and sunflower seeds. More generally, the term seed means anything that can be buried in the ground and will grow into a plant. So this definition includes tubers such as potatoes. A more specific example of a type of seed is a grain. Grains are the seeds of grasses. Examples include wheat, corn, oats, and rice. Beans are the seeds of legumes. Examples include peas, lentils, soybeans, and chickpeas. Nuts are the seeds of trees. Examples include acorns, chestnuts, and hazelnuts. Just a quick note about the anatomy of seeds. They all have the same basic parts. And if you cut any seed in half, you'll see the same basic structures. Looking here at the anatomy of a grain, we see that it has a bran and a hull, which are the outer protective coverings. It also has an endosperm, which contains starch, vitamins, and minerals, which provide food for the seed until it can obtain nutrients through photosynthesis. And then there's the germ, and that's the embryo of the plant, which develops into the actual plant. But regardless of the type of seed you're looking at, if you cut any seed in half, you'll see the same basic structures. Another quick clarification before we get started. The term vegetable oil is equivalent to seed oil. I prefer to say seed oil because it's a little more accurate, because these oils are actually made from seeds and not the flesh of a vegetable. There are many types of seed oils. Some of the more popular ones are made from the following seeds: peanut, sunflower, rapeseed or canola, grape, soybean, corn, and safflower. You might be wondering, how do they get the oil out of the seeds? They don't seem very oily. Seeds don't actually contain that much oil, so you have to grow a lot of them. So the process starts by growing a large monocrop culture of the seed of interest. The seeds are then harvested, put in a giant expeller press, and then subjected to heat and pressure to squeeze out that little bit of oil. You end up with a sludge like you see here. The sludge is then filtered and extracted with chemical solvents like hexane. Typically, chemicals will be added to deodorize the oils because they apparently really stink at this stage, as they are rancid. More chemicals are then added to preserve and color the oils. In my opinion, seed oils are extremely unhealthy, and the only thing worse for you than seed oils are deep-fried seed oils. And that's a discussion for another time, but the main point I wanted to make here is that the so-called vegetable oils are all made from seeds. One last thing I should clarify is that there are at least 4 commonly consumed oils that are made from the flesh of the fruit, not the seed. The more common ones are avocado oil, coconut oil, olive oil, and palm oil. I did come across a possible exception in this paper here, where the authors stated that avocado oil was obtained by physical extraction of the pulp and the seed. So I don't know whether that applies broadly to all avocado oils or not, but regardless, I think these oils are probably better for you than seed oils, but still suffer from many of the same issues as seed oils, just to a lesser extent. For example, they can go rancid and usually contain numerous chemical additives, preservatives, colorants, and other adulterations. They may also contain plant compounds such as sterols, which I personally don't want in my body. Sterols are the plant equivalent of cholesterol, and I'll discuss those at another time. Okay, so really the main thing that prompted this video and its title is when I came to the realization that it's surprisingly easy to go through an entire day and eat essentially nothing but seeds. As we'll see in these examples, and you can tell me if you disagree, but I think it's really not that much of a stretch for a lot of people, even people who aren't necessarily trying to avoid animal products, to consume basically nothing but seeds. Okay, so for breakfast, let's have some coffee, which is made from beans, and put some almond milk in it, which is made from nuts. We'll have some toast and margarine. So the toast is made from wheat, which is a grain, and usually contains seed oils. The margarine is a seed oil. The cereal is made from a grain of some sort, usually corn, oats, rice, or wheat, and we'll pour some almond milk on that too. Off to a good start. For a morning snack, let's have a classic donut and coffee. The donut is made from grains and seed oils. Donuts often contain some palm oils, which, as I mentioned previously, are plant oils, but are not made from seeds. But I don't think this is worth quibbling about, as palm oils aren't much of an improvement over seed oils, in my opinion. The coffee is made from beans, and the whitener is a seed oil. For lunch, let's have a pasta salad, a veggie dog, and a granola bar. The pasta is made from semolina flour and vegetable oil. The top 4 ingredients in the veggie dog are water, soy protein, wheat gluten, and tofu, which, aside from water, are all seed-based. The rest of the ingredients are just sugar, spices, which are usually seed-based, and chemicals. So the hot dog is made from seeds, specifically soybeans and wheat, and the bun is made from wheat and vegetable oil. There's mustard on the dog, which is made from mustard seeds. Now, I must confess, the ketchup is not made from seeds. However, basically, it's just sugar. The granola bar is a good one. You're getting straight up seeds, nuts, grains, and some vegetable oil. All right, now for dinner, let's have a tofu stir fry with peanut sauce. Now, we're really going to run the gamut here because we have the tofu, and that's made from soybeans, rice, that's a grain, seasoning, that's ground seeds, sesame seeds just sprinkled on top, and cashews on top as well. And then, of course, we'll need peanut sauce. For dessert, let's have a chocolate cake, so that's made with flour, which is a grain, chocolate, which comes from cocoa beans, and seed oils. The icing is basically all seeds as well, as it's made from seed oils, cocoa beans, and of course sugar. It's been a long day, so let's have an evening treat. Let's have some microwave popcorn, and that's made from corn, which is a grain, as well as margarine, which is a seed oil. And let's kick back with a couple of beers. They're typically made with a grain, such as barley. And finally, let's round this out with some nachos and dip. The nachos are made with corn, which is a grain, and the chemical concoction they're calling cheese dip is made of seed oils and chemical flavoring. Well, there you have it. Congratulations. Everything you ate in a whole day is nuts. And that's good, right? Nuts are good for us. Wrong. Dead wrong, if you ask me. To those who disagree, do you think the day of eating I just described is a human-appropriate diet? Do you think our ancestors living 100,000 years ago harvested large monocrop cultures of grains and ate any appreciable quantity of seeds? Note that seed oils didn't even exist prior to 100 years ago. Do you think we're meant to eat an all-seed buffet all day, every day? I don't. In subsequent videos in this series, I'll describe the reasons why I think seeds and plants in general are not optimal human foods. So, were my examples of a typical diet being very rich in seeds that far off? Well, according to data from the USDA, references to follow, in 2010, the average American got their calories from the following sources: 3% from nuts, 23% from grains, 21% from seed oils, 15% from added sugar, and 38% from all other sources. To put it a little more simply, an average person on an average day can expect to get 62% of their calories from seeds, seed oils, and added sugar, which leaves only 38% from all other food sources. That's an average person on an average day. Many people today are choosing to eat less meat and dairy, but what are they replacing it with? This would suggest to me that there are people who actually eat almost nothing but seeds, seed oils, and added sugar. Keep in mind, too, that the best data I could find was from 2010, and I think it's likely that the average American diet, and indeed diets worldwide, have shifted considerably toward favoring seed and seed oil-based foods over the last 15 years. The previous data came from the USDA's article, A Look at Calorie Sources in the American Diet. Just one more point on this idea that everything you eat is nuts. Not only does the average person eat a seed-based diet, but even the animals raised on farms are now fed seed-based diets. Cattle, swine, and chickens are not meant to eat anywhere near as much grains and seeds as they do with typical farming practices. Cows are meant to eat mostly grass, while chickens and pigs are meant to eat insects, worms, fruits, and vegetables. When we ourselves eat grain-fed animals, we are getting a distorted nutrient profile. For example, the omega-6 composition of the fats in grocery store eggs, beef, and chicken are much higher than they would be in animals found in the wild. So not only is everything you eat nuts, even the animals you eat nuts. And this really is rather nuts. I think meat formed the core of the human diet for over 1 million years, and meat is what we're adapted to thrive on. Subbing out essentially all meat and replacing it with seeds is a recipe for poor health, if you ask me. I'll discuss this and much more in other videos in this series.